So we have an economy and a political system now that are both highly dysfunctional, that have been created or modified, shall we say, over the years. And it's been over the years. I mean, this is the political change in this country, the strategic underpinnings for it were laid out by Russell Kirk in 1951 in his book, The Conservative Mind, picked up by William F. Buckley throughout the 60s, promoted in the early 70s by Lewis Powell in his infamous Powell memo to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce saying, you guys, for 100 years, the Chamber of Commerce has been totally apolitical. It's time to get political, pick a political party, own that political party, go for it. And then, of course, the Powell memo leading to the creation of the Heritage Foundation and the Cato Institute and the American Enterprise Institute and all these other right-wing think tanks heavily funded by right-wing billionaires, the Joe Coors, the Koch brothers, the Richard Mellon Scapes of the world. And what has happened is between that and the members of the Supreme Court, specifically Scalia and Thomas, who have gone to these Koch brother retreats and been wined and dined and feted and honored and frankly paid. Clarence Thomas neglected to tell us that his wife had taken $800,000 from the Heritage Foundation, another group supported by the Koch brothers, over the years. He just, forgot to fill it out year after year after year in his annual required federal employee disclosure form, federal judge disclosure form. If he had been a judge in any other court in the United States, he might be in jail right now. He certainly would no longer be a judge. But because he's on the Supreme Court has asserted that they can write their own damn rules. For example, they're all in favor of freedom of speech for billionaires, right? We cannot constrain their freedom of speech. You can't stop billionaires from buying any politician that they want, buying as many ads on TV as they want, because that's freedom of speech. But the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that if you try to protest outdoors on public property owned by the federal government in front of the Supreme Court building, you go to jail. No place else in D.C. is that the case, right? Everywhere in this city, you can show up with a sign that says, I love John Boehner or John Boehner stinks, whatever you want, or I love Scalia and Alito, or I don't. Anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the city, you can show up with a sign like that. No problem. You show up with a sign like that and you stand on the sidewalk in front of the Supreme Court, they'll haul your ass off to jail. This Supreme Court really believes in power to the people, right? As long as the people have 7 zeros in their bank account. So what we have seen here in Kochistan, in the new American Republic of Kochistan, is that our economic system has been corrupted, principally by Reagan stopping the enforcement of the Sherman Antitrust Act, allowing these mergers and acquisitions, this M&A mania, which has been going on for 35 years. It spawned an industry. Mitt Romney made his billion in this industry. They call it, private capital or venture capital or vulture capital it used to be called mergers and acquisitions, M&A artists. I call it hustling. It's a scam. I mean, Mitt Romney makes money not by creating anything of value. He makes money by sucking dry corporations, breaking them up, selling them off, moving them overseas. And it's, of course, not just Mitt Romney. So we now have an economy that's no longer based on making things. It's based on skimming stuff off the top. How much can you skim off the top here or there or the other place? For example, and I think this is just a classic example, we used to believe that education was part of the commons, that education was such an important thing in the United States that we would subsidize it. And one way we subsidized it was we said, if you want to start a school, a college, it's a not-for-profit, right? It's like we started the Hunter School up in New Hampshire, which is having a financially really a tough time right now, by the way. hunterschool.org, if you can help out in any way, is much appreciated. But we started this back decades ago, and it's a 501c3. It's a not-for-profit. But now we have for-profit schools opening all over the United States, particularly these for-profit colleges, and their principal goal is not even to be in the college business. Their principal goal is to be in the banking business so that they can loan money to students who will then take their courses and owe them that money and pay a mind-boggling amount of interest over the course of the first 20, 30 years of their working lives. And they don't even provide them with a decent education, so these young people can't make a living. This is how bad it's gotten. Every businesses that used to be like just solid, schools, colleges, they have become hustle factories. So our economy has been taken over by the billionaires, and now, thanks to the Supreme Court and Citizens United, our politics have been taken over by the billionaires. Welcome to Kochistan.